Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. Hold on, let me check, make sure my mic, I'm on the right mic. There we go. Peace, family. I hope all is well. Listen. I don't watch Super Bowl. I'm really not a NFL football type of guy. I watch college football. So Bakari Lumumba, if you're watching this, when the University of Georgia was dragging Ohio State in the semifinals, I was watching that game. And then, of course, I watched the national championship game. I'm really not an NFL football fan like that. I'm technically a Raiders fan. Well, I kind of renounced my Raiders fandom last year because they're really not even, I'm dead serious because they're really not even in, I'm from Northern Cali. I'm from Cali. So the Raiders was my team because I'm from Cali, but they moved to Nevada. They in Vegas now. So I kind of went with the 49ers, but then I'm not really a Niners fan because, you can't be a 49ers fan and you can't switch from the Raiders to the Niners. You can't do that. So I'm thinking about rolling with the Rams. But outside of that, I'm saying I would roll with the Falcons, but, all my sports teams for the most part are back in Cali because that's where I'm from originally. So I'm thinking about rolling with the Rams, or I might roll with the Niners, but I think I'm going to go with the Rams. I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, since the Raiders left Cali, I don't support the Raiders really anymore. And terrible decisions in the front office is another reason why I do not support the Raiders. Yeah. Africa Diaspora Academy. So what sport do you think I played? Golf. I don't know. I'm sure you play football, noob. I'm sure you play football. So yes, I am streaming during the Super Bowl. Yes, I am, because we're gonna challenge the Super Bowl. We're gonna get more ratings. Listen, we're gonna get more ratings. Okay. This live stream right here is gonna get more ratings than the Super Bowl, more views than the Super Bowl. But in order to do that, I need you guys to hit that like button. All right. I need you guys to hit the like button so we could get more ratings than the Super Bowl. Okay. So y'all hit that like button. There we go. Hit the like button. We challenging the Super Bowl right now. Okay. We're going to challenge the Super Bowl. That's what we're doing. All right. So the Super Bowl is played right here on In Search of Uhuru. That's where it's played. But anyways, guys, make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com. Again, make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com. Oh, I misspelled that. Man, I misspelled my darn. There we go. Make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. That was a trailer. I need everybody to have the documentary, okay? This is the best, most important documentary of 2022 and 23. So you gotta grab a copy. The documentary is streamed. Again, the documentary is streamed. So once you buy it, it is yours for life. You just set up a login. You can watch as much as you want. And this documentary is going to inspire you to go to Africa. Also, tours. All right, we are rolling to Sierra Leone in April for the citizenship ceremony. If you have your African ancestry DNA results and they link back to Sierra Leone, you're eligible for citizenship. So make sure you go to Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, make sure you go to Danfo, DANFO.Africa to learn more. Let me pull up the page real quick. There we go. Okay. Make sure you go to Danfo, DANFO.Africa to learn more. So Sierra Leone in April 19th to the 30th. Senegal, guys, Jazz Festival, Senegal. Overall, my most favorite country. Senegal. May 21st to the 30th for the Jazz Festival. Come and check that out. Then we have Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Okay, Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Zanzibar in November, and then possibly again Sierra Leone in November as well. So guys, come and check us out. We'll love to have you guys. Join us. We'll love for you guys to be a part of what we are doing. It will really, it will really mean a lot. Come and join us on the continent of Africa. Come home, family. Come visit the continent. With further ado, and we won't be here long. Again, we won't be here long. There was a piece done on why African Americans are going back to the roots and going to Ghana. And, year of return played a major role in that. But what really is bothering me and what I don't understand. Now, Sierra Leone is doing an excellent job with the DNA. If you have DNA, which links you to Alan. Exactly, Alan. Exactly. I'm gonna get to that. Now, Sierra Leone is doing a great job in regards to if you could prove your DNA. If you're linked to Sierra Leone via DNA, you're eligible for citizenship. No other country's doing that now. Guinea-Bissau allegedly is supposed to have something in May. I won't believe it till I see it. Per what's kind of going on behind the scenes with that. So I am trying to figure out, like Alan said, African Americans were invited to Ghana in an organized, strategic way. Why aren't other African countries putting themselves out there and picking up on expanding on what Ghana is doing? I do not understand why other African countries are not adopting and holding a year of return like Ghana. I just don't, for the life of me, I don't get it. I do not. I did my heritage DNA when they only accept African ancestry. Be Knowledge Academy, do me a favor, send me an email. Go to donfo.africa. Again, go to donfo.africa. Send me everything you have. I've heard of a couple of exceptions. From what I understand, again, don't hold me to this. If you have your DNA results and they link back to Sierra Leone via African ancestry, you're pretty much good to go. I've heard of some exceptions. I know one is if you take if my heritage shows specifically maternal and or paternal, the results, then you're eligible for citizenship. But if it's just, hey, just the I don't want to say vague, but pretty much the standard, these DNA companies, they just show the percentage. Again, they just show the percentage. If it's just the percentage, hey, Ancestry.com or 23andMe, I have 25% Sierra Leonean, they're not going to accept it. Again, they're not going to accept it. So we have to make a case. But send me what you have. But for the most part, any DNA company outside of African ancestry, and it says specifically matriarchal or patriarchal Sierra Leone, you're good to go. If you don't have that, it's going to be an uphill battle. But send me what you have. Liberia kind of did it when they just had their the 200-year bicentennial celebration last year. They did it last January, somewhat. But why isn't it consistent? Rosles, Gold Coast, Noop. What's up, Noop? What's up, bro? Why aren't other countries doing it consistently and adopting it? I don't know. And it's frustrating. Like, I don't get it. Let me check the score, guys. Eagles winning 14-7. I want the Eagles to win. I'm going for the Eagles. Liberia should be automatic. But like Alan said, Ghana is the only country that did it in an organized type of way. Other countries, I don't know what's so hard to put something together to say, hey, diaspora, come home, year of return. And some people their argument will be, well, Ghana's exploiting, the diaspora for their tourist dollars. Listen, I don't have a problem with it. I do not have a problem with it. When the diaspora is going to Europe, Thailand, Mexico, Asia, are they not being exploited for their tourist dollars? So I would much rather the diaspora spend their money in Africa than anywhere else. So I'm all for it. I don't care. I am all Barbados diaspora. It was called We Gathered. Okay. I'm all for it. So I'm all for year of returns all over Africa. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't get it. These tourism boards need to adopt this and take it and run with it. So, see, but Roz, let's go Coast Snoop. What's good, Fi, is cause Kwame Nkrumah is still Pan-Africanism in Ghanaians. That's not true. Kwame Nkrumah was taken out because of a coup. Ghanaians led a coup against Kwame Nkrumah. So that's not necessarily true. The average Ghanaian on the ground is not a Pan-African. Trust me. Again, the everyday average Ghanaian is not a Pan-African. Again, Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown by Ghanaians. And the CIA played a role in it as well. We know that. Now, I've formed a lot of relationships in Ghana with some beautiful Ghanaians, brothers and sisters who are Pan-African. And this goes for pretty much any African country. The average African on the ground is not necessarily a Pan-African. You guys do now. Here we go. Y'all lost, though. Y'all lost. Y'all lost, National Shot. Y'all lost. 90% of Ghanaians support Kwame Nkrumah. Don't speak for us. You guys do now. But previous to that, in fact, what was it they hit? So, guys, the Kwame Nkrumah Center, when I visited it back in 2000, I think it was 17 or 2016 when I went to Ghana, they were telling this story how, what was it? For years, like a statue was hidden of Kwame Nkrumah or something. They finally found it. Like I said, Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in a Ghanaian-led coup. Of course, the CIA was back. CIA backed it. That's just the reality of it. So with that being said, the average Ghanaian on the ground was not buying what Kwame Nkrumah was selling. It's just the reality. But we're going to take a commercial break. I'm going to put the link in the chat room. I disagree. I think for the diaspora, Nigeria is a better fit. And I say that in all the countries, honestly, Nigeria is a better fit for the diaspora. And I'll stick with that. I would say Senegal, but Senegal is not English speaking. I would say out of all the English speaking countries, I think Nigeria is a better fit. And I'll have to revisit South Africa as well. I'm gonna get back to South Africa sometime in the near future. But right now, Nigeria is a better fit, if you ask me. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We will be back. We will be back shortly.
We can all benefit from proverbs from our elders. Africa is the birthplace of human civilization and home to some of the most ancient wisdom on the planet. The continent of Africa is an extremely culturally rich region and home to over 2,000 languages, 3,000 ethnic groups, and numerous belief systems. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin, available on Amazon, is a compilation of over 100 ancient proverbs and words of wisdom from the continent of Africa. This must-read book provides a diverse and expansive collection of timeless, wise sayings and knowledge which have been collected from every region of Africa. This book is perfect for anyone interested in learning more about the African culture and expanding their knowledge of human experience. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The Book of African Proverbs and Wisdom, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin. Go to Amazon.com and get your copy today.
This brand because first off, the products are quality. I have amazing hydration. You guys can see the shine. You guys can see the definition.
Alexis here, coming to you with an awesome sale of 25% off when you use promo code UHURU25 at alexisfowler.com. I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, getting 25% off when you use promo code UHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
Learn the ins and outs of IT and launch your IT career in just a matter of weeks with the help of Lifting the Veil IT Academy.
I took Lifting the Veil Academy with Sub. Took a while, but I'm here. I made it. I'm now an SSRS developer. I started on the 13th, making a rate of $48 an hour.
Sign up for a free consultation and see where this industry could take you.
To learn more, go to www.ltvacademy.com. That's www.ltvacademy.com. www.ltvacademy.com.
At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Go ahead, Alan. Alan. Okay. Go ahead, Kofi. There you go. Kofi. Y'all, is it me? I can't hear anybody. Is it me? Guys, press one if you can hear me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, man, KC just scored off a fumble recovery or something. Damn. Yeah, I'm in Ghana right now. It's time is 12:41, and the reason why I feel that people are flocking to Ghana is just because Kwame Nkrumah, fortunately, he was able to carry the Pan-African torch. Him studying Americans and everything that was happening in America, as far as the movement goes. And their big influence in places like Liberia and all throughout Africa. Fortunately, Ghana didn't get their independence too early, and they didn't have this huge sprout in their population. And I believe another reason for they're very low key. They're able to live amongst or in between all these French nations. You got Cote d'Ivoire, you got Burkina Faso to the north, you got Togo to the east. So they were like late bloomers, versus Nigeria. They have a huge population, and it was easier for the British to kind of use the differences in ethnic groups against one another. And with Liberia, they just unfortunately they just started off too early, and they became enemies of the West very early. Same with Sierra Leone. These countries are very fragile, but now that you look at things, I feel like people just feel like Ghana's more safe. It's more in pop culture, and there's a lot of people just doing the work on the ground and advertising land and advertising possibilities, and next thing you know, you're gonna have SpaceX there with their huge lithium deposits. So I'm proud that Idris Elba is making noise there, and a lot of people from New York that's from Ghana, not a lot, but got sprinkles of New Yorkers that's in Ghana, and they're pretty much carrying us over to the continent. It's a blessing. I would definitely say I wish the rest of the Anglo countries would come up, and even our French countries, the French neighboring countries. I feel like we definitely need to bring more businesses and more jobs and turn Ghana and turn the rest of Africa to the West. Not exactly like the West, but just the same pace as far as creativity and entrepreneurship. That's what all I have to say right now.
Okay, Alan, you there? Alan, okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Man, we be like, let's make Africa more like the West. The West is the Western countries are largely becoming welfare states. So when we talk about turning it into the West, what do you mean? A place where a bunch of people, instead of trying to get it on their own, look to the government to take care of them? African governments can't take care of their citizens, through social entitlement programs. So when we talk about the West, we only talk about the good aspects of the West. We totally ignore the aspects of the West that have people in the West running to Africa looking for a way to grow their wealth. So I really believe that African countries never really became enemies of the West in that sense. I look at it like, African countries they're black. They're countries with black people. And one thing we know about black people, no matter where they are on earth, black people are very resistant to change, especially when it's change in a way that they don't fully comprehend. So there was a bunch of people in Africa who was like, why change when the system, we don't fully understand this system, but the system that we are using currently, it may not be the best. It may have people who slip through the cracks, but it is working. You know what I'm saying? We're not like starving and all this stuff. There was no starvation and all that in Africa before Europeans came over there. No, they weren't like, yo, we had a famine for 70 years before we ever met a white man, right? It wasn't the best system, or it wasn't a system that was cutting edge, but it was a system that was working for the most part. Really, I think the fall of Africa happened because they tried to imitate the West. They thought they could do what the white man did, even as far as like exporting slaves and stuff. Africans never thought about sending no slave outside of Africa. They sell them over to the next tribe around the corner. Ultimately, that person, could maybe get their freedom back, or they assimilate into the society. All this dysfunction did not start happening. Even if someone's family member was enslaved, right? That person later on could come back and be like, well, I'm from this place. Well, if he managed to get away or buy his freedom, he could walk home. You know what I'm saying? But when you started doing what white people do, take people's lives and then take those people to a whole different continent to where there is no way for them to go back to where they came from, that just broke down the fabric of the societies. And the funny thing is, you still have Africans, though they know that the white man has done all this to them, though they see how the white man's method of doing things has destroyed their continent, they still look at the white man as the standard for what they should do going forward. And it literally makes no sense to me. Dynasty, it might make sense to you, but these dudes are just dumb. We need to be more like the niggas that fucked our stuff up. Okay, well, go ahead and try to do that, because they can't even deal with the results of what they've done. Their kids are over here mutilating themselves, thinking they have an epidemic where their kids are committing suicide. Elementary school kids talking about, I don't feel right in my body. And you know what? Let it be a Nigerian, ashy Nigerian, or dusty Ghanaian. You know what? That's exactly what I need to do. It's the definition of stupidity, like literally the definition of stupidity. Make your own way. Stop trying to imitate white people and be like them, because you don't do a very good job of it. Shit, we've been over 400 years and we still ain't figured it out. So y'all think y'all gonna do it better than us? There's no way. Just do your own thing. Innovate. Don't be Chinese. Imitation and stealing. You know what I'm saying? That's what Chinese people do. That's why I don't like the fact that Africans look up to Chinese. Chinese don't innovate anything. Chinese steal, and they just replicate it in a very cheap way. And then they say, look, we made the same thing for less. And guess what? It might be functional, but is the quality the same? Are they, and by the time they imitate that perfectly, shit, everybody else, Germany, the United, they done moved on to something else, Japan, etc. So just aim a little higher, man. Aim a little higher, because if you aim low, you'll hit the target every time. And that's what Africans be seeming like they trying to do.
Afro Diaspora News. Go ahead. Alan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, basically what I wanted to say was this is all having to do with the leadership of Nana Addo and him organizing this in a very, very strategic and targeted way. He went ahead and he not only went to the United States, he went to all throughout the Caribbean. He went on a tour trying to gather the diaspora to go to Ghana. And what he tapped into, because he spent time in the United States, was the fact that he understood Black Americans, liked the diaspora, knew something about everybody's culture, and was able to come and relate. And that's why it was successful. He personally made the ask. Right. He went out of his way. When he came to Barbados and he had them dig up slave bones and bring them with the Barbados flag all the way to Ghana and rebury them, give an apology for his people's role within the slave trade, and acknowledge all the history and everything like that. When you do things like that, people are going to come back and find what you're saying attractive, because deep within the soul of Black people, regardless where we are in the diaspora, we want to go back to Africa, and he knew that. And that's the reason why they've had the success. No other country has done that. And that is a shame of it. It's been an economic success for them. It's been a cultural success for them. God bless them for doing it. I do not understand why a country like Liberia hasn't done that, given the American connection directly. That's never made any sense to me.
No, so you got to stand before Ghana. Liberia was even a more popular spot for Black Americans to visit on the continent. In fact, it was the most popular before the 1980 coup.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. They fell apart with the coup, but also, the fact of the matter is that nobody else has made the personal ask. There's the head of state for their.
Well, Alan, the reason why is because of just the tribalism, and the negative. I guess when you bring up the Americo-Liberians and the Black Americans who came, the diaspora who came there, who are returning home, just the negative connotation that comes with it, that a lot that some people might think or have. In Liberia, that's why they have it. In my honest opinion, again, I could be wrong, but I think that's why they haven't had like a formal year in Liberia. Even though,
well, what about Sierra Leone though? I mean, it's like that. That is
well, Sierra Leone is the only country that does the citizenship by DNA. But again, like you said, they haven't really announced a formal year of return in Sierra Leone.
Yeah. I mean, it costs them nothing. It's all
May
it costs.
I speak about that, please?
Go ahead.
Yes, and Dennis, I appreciate you having me up. Just to be very brief. One, I have to say this: us as African Americans, through foreign aid, our tax revenue is being allocated to nations all around the world, but particularly African nations that deny us citizenship by descent, but they still receive our tax revenue in the form of foreign aid. My respectful suggestion is that each African nation that denies African American citizenship by descent, we must call Congress and demand that they no longer receive any of our tax revenue in the form of foreign aid. Additionally, I respect my African American family for moving to African nations and establishing African American communities throughout Africa, just as Africans build African communities in the United States. But I see in the chat some African Americans are hesitant to move to Africa. One suggestion I want to make, and like I say, I'll say this in closing, one suggestion, an alternative to the United States is Latin America and the Caribbean. When we go to the Caribbean and Latin America, there are still majority African nations. You have Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Barbados, etc. So just because we leave the United States, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to move to Africa. We can also move to Latin America and buy real estate in Latin America.
Afro diaspora, I've been saying that as well. That listen, just have a plan B. It could be Panama, it could be South America. Like I said, here on this side of the world, a lot of us have been talking about Panama, and I need to go visit Panama. But you're absolutely right.
And let me say, I'm gonna jump down, but thanks for having me up. One thing I'll say is this: the plane tickets from the U.S. to Latin America and the Caribbean are much shorter and cheaper than going to Africa. So once again, if you don't want to move to Africa,
that's not a fair comparison, though. Of course,
I get
your
point.
It's going to be a shorter trip, of course.
That's my point.
But that's not necessarily. But that okay? That's not necessarily true. What's the flight? Here we go. What's the flight time between New York and Columbia? If somebody can look that up.
I want to say 8 hours. I could be wrong.
Okay, what's the flight time between New York and Dakar, Senegal? It's 7.5.
Yeah, it's 6 hours to
See, you
Barbados.
informed me. I ain't know that.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily true as far as the shorter flight time.
But let me say this though: a flight from anywhere on the East Coast to the Caribbean is 1 hour. That's a fact. If you
That's not true.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. That's not true. That's not true.
Somebody look it up right now. Look up the.
I can.
A flight from New York to Barbados is not an hour.
I ain't say Barbados. I should have said Bahamas.
A flight from New York to the Bahamas is not an hour.
How long is it? Please tell me.
Oh my God! Come on. Jesus.
But listen, I appreciate you having me.
Well, let me ask you this: do you have a passport?
Definitely.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. No, I can tell you for a fact. A flight from New York, which I used to take all the time, to Barbados is a 6 hour flight. That is a 6 hour flight because we're so far south in the Caribbean. So no, you can't get everywhere in the Caribbean in an hour. I can tell you that straight up.
No, you're right. But Barbados isn't in South America. But what about the Bahamas though? They gotta be. It's no more than an hour and a half.
Depending on where you are. Depending on where you are.
Hold on, Alan, hold on, bro. Afro Diaspora News. From Atlanta, because I take this flight all the time. From Atlanta, from Hartsfield Jackson, Atlanta to JFK is 2 hours and 20 minutes. So how you think you can get from New York to the Bahamas in a faster time?
All right, that might be checkmate, but we still got to get the exact numbers. I'm trying to Google it right now. I'm going to mute up. But if y'all want to continue on the discussion, I'm trying to look up the flight times right now. But my point is, there are still majority African nations throughout the Caribbean and in Latin America. If those of us that don't want to go to Africa still want to be a majority African nations, that was my point.
Absolutely. No, that's an excellent point. The only thing is that you need to, wherever you go, you need to find a way to adjust to the culture and not try to impose yourself on the culture wherever you are, so that you can make the transition smooth and not come across as the stereotypical ugly American. That's something you'd have to do regardless.
No, I get your point, but let me say this: when immigrants come to the United States, they don't hesitate to make an imprint in the United States. So we as African Americans, we cannot be afraid to make an imprint where we go, but we must make sure that it's a positive imprint.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, it has to be a positive imprint. You can't you can't go ahead and just do whatever it is you want to do, because the American mentality of what we consider freedom in this country does not necessarily fly the same way in other places, and I could give you several examples of that. But what I wanted to get into also was the fact that it's a shame that Caribbean countries have copied the Ghana Year of Return. In Barbados, we had a thing called We Gathering, right, where we were having people coming back to Barbados from the diaspora, from all Brooklyn, Toronto, Miami, all the places where Bajans gather, and getting everybody to come back. So if Caribbean countries are copying that, I am very shocked that more African countries aren't taking advantage of that, if for no other reason than the economic boom that Ghana got from all the visitors, and it's still continuing to get. Countries like Liberia and Sierra Leone, I'm just truly shocked, given their historic connections to the diaspora, that they haven't tried it.
Yes, and really, and I'm serious about what I said. We must, as African Americans, or we could keep being exploited. But if we want to make a change, we have to demand that our tax revenue no longer be allocated in foreign aid to nations where African Americans are not eligible for citizenship. Really, and I
bro, they ain't.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
That's not gonna happen. That's just not gonna happen.
Why not?
Because the United States government is not going to aid us in leaving.
Our people are too far gone to organize for that.
All right. Well, listen. Well, let me just say this for the listeners: you all have to make a decision. Either you will stand up or not. I can't force you to. But as far as the flight times, because Donis was right, Now, from
Yeah, of course
DC,
I'm right. I mean, it's just simple
well, you was
geography will
wrong.
tell you
Let me
that.
say this: you was wrong too, though. Let me say this: you was wrong too.
Wrong about what?
From DC to Accra, Ghana, direct is a 13-hour flight.
I didn't say. Okay, hold on. Stop the show, brother. Come on, man. I mean, you got.
But let me say this.
No.
Though.
No. I got. No, I'm going to interrupt you right now. I'm going to interrupt you right now. Don't overtalk the host. Your name is Afro. Your handle is Afro Diaspora News. The example I gave was from JFK to Dakar, not DC to Accra. I said JFK.
Are you arguing that a flight
to Dakar?
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just asking you, just for clarity. Are you saying that a flight from the United States, no matter where you at, to Africa, no matter where you're going, is shorter than a flight from the U.S. to the Caribbean?
Did I say that?
No, I'm asking for clarity.
No, of course not.
Okay, so we can agree that a flight from the U.S. to the Caribbean is closer. That's all I'm saying.
Depending on which part of the Caribbean. And we're in it. Okay,
right.
bro. I mean, come on, you got to be educated, brother.
I'm saying you're right.
Afro Diaspora News, you have to be educated. So, okay, Afro Diaspora News is a flight from Seattle, Washington,
go ahead,
to the Caribbean, quicker than a flight from JFK to Dakar, Senegal, or to Casablanca, or to.
Oh, all right, you got me there.
Bro, you're trolling. You're trolling, bro. You're trolling.
I agree with you. How am
I? You're trolling. You got to be trolling, bro.
Well, here's the thing. If you,
but all right, I'm gonna mute up.
If you people are so willing to go places like Hawaii, I don't think people realize how far Hawaii is. You could definitely from the East Coast fly to Africa and get to Africa quicker than you would get to all the way to Hawaii. Hawaii is like 6 hours away from Los Angeles. So, I think people, they have this mental block about what they're willing to do in terms of flight time when it comes to Africa. But when it comes to other places, they don't seem to have the same mental block.
That flight only takes about 3.5 movies, and maybe like 2 conversations with the person next to you. It's becoming like a piece of cake, especially when your money's on the line, when your family's on the line, when you miss people, when you're in love, all that ride just becomes much more easier. And you almost have no choice if you want to restore your lineage and make the passage back from which they took you from. And I learned about Arthur Barclay. He was one of the 15th presidents of Liberia, and he was born in Barbados. And his father was a huge Pan-Africanist, and I believe his father was captured in the Dahomey region. He was a Dahomey. He was of the Dahomey, and they made their way back. There was like a Barbados colonization society, and these people were straight like riders, and they were maroons, and they were revolting. That's how they gained their freedom. And I feel like Sierra Leone never really sprouted because the British always kept the people down. The white governors there just like took control and left them with a very fragile society where like it could just take one coup to just topple the place. And the same thing happened to Liberia, and it could damn well happen to any other countries as long as these borders are up. One thing I like about Nigeria is this huge population, and I feel like all we have to do is just unleash Nigerians out on the whole Africa, and you could kind of start to get this one Africa thing popping off, just like how the I guess the Ming dynasty, I think I'm saying the Ming dynasty beat out all the other dynasties to kind of put in that one cultural group in China to make it one China. I believe that needs to happen to Africa, even if it has to happen four different types of ways, starting with the East Africa, and starting with one of the ethnic groups, the Swahili ethnic groups, and maybe the Zulus, the Xhosa, and Shona people would merge, and then West Africa would just, it's easy to get from Senegal down all the way down to Angola to Namibia. I feel like that's going to be something that's going to happen, especially now that we have the internet. It's just more information out there now. So I almost feel like there's no excuse, and you can't really stop. You can't really stop in original people. Like all of our lives, it seems like the entire world tried to just stop Africans from overpopulating and just taking control of shit. I feel like it's inevitable, and I feel like we'll save mankind.
Can I say one last thing? Because I have to go. There's no reason why the only leaders from Sierra Leone and stuff like that have not made the ask, have not made the trips, have not marketed the slave castles and dungeons to African Americans in a real way. Just as the Irish have made advertisements to bring back all the Irish descendants to Dublin and all these other places. That is something that's basic, and it's a failure, in my opinion, on those African leaders' part, that they haven't seen the success of this and haven't copied it.
And may I ask a question? And really, anybody that has an answer, I'm willing to listen. Now, we see that there are a number of nations in Africa that won't even allow their own diasporans to have citizenship in their country. They don't even allow dual citizenship.
Well, okay. Can you name the nations?
Well, number one, Liberia. Number two is
Cameroon. Liberia just changed that. They changed it last year.
All right, Cameroon.
Okay, that's one.
All right, have they changed it? I'm asking.
They have not. So you got one. Go ahead, continue.
All right, my question is.
No. But you made it seem as if they're like that's the.
Well, hold on. Is one not enough? Our taxes is going there. I'm asking.
Okay, but you made it seem as if it was an issue, as if it's the majority. You named one country.
Hold on. Is one? Well, I'm naming the one in particular. Is that not an issue? I'm asking you.
Well, you're moving the goalposts now, but yes.
No, I'm not.
I said you are. African. You are. You said a number as if the majority or a lot, but you named one.
Well, tell me another one that's issuing citizenship by descent.
No. You said, okay, this is what you said, bro. You said there are a number. I'm going to repeat what you said.
Yeah, please repeat what I said.
I'm going to repeat what you said. Yeah, you said a number of African countries are not allowing their diaspora to get citizenship. You named one country.
That's a fact.
You said a number.
Are African Americans not a part of the diaspora? I'm asking.
You said a number of countries.
Yes.
You said don't, and then you said don't allow dual citizenship. You only named one, Cameroon.
Yes. All right.
You said a number. Okay, all right, continue. Oh.
All right. My question is, since our taxes are going there, and I'm asking you, do you find it acceptable that they do not grant citizenship by descent? I'm asking you.
I think some countries should look into it more, but it's not. At the end of the day, it's not. Rather, this is the thing. This is the thing.
Are going there, so you have a right.
Well, I don't control that. They look at us as Americans. We're Americans.
You have a say in that.
Dynast, why do you? Dynast, when you talk about Black Americans, it's always Black people Black Americans are not a monolith. But then when Black Americans try to level malicious claims against other people and places, it's always got to be monolithic. Don't let this dude do that. This dude, okay, it's a shame that Black people always stealing cars. Well, bro, all Black people don't steal cars. Well, isn't one Black person stealing a car enough to label all Black people bad? These Negroes are simple-minded.
Well, maybe you
he doesn't even have the intelligence to understand the point that I'm making.
No, maybe you can answer the question.
I'll answer the question.
A simple question.
I'm gonna give you a simple answer. I'm gonna give you a simple answer.
What's the answer?
White people's tax revenue go all over the world to different countries giving aid. When white people want something from the, I'm gonna answer your question, but you can't interrupt me. You can't interrupt me. You can't interrupt me if I'm answering your question.
Have you not heard of the MAGA movement?
You can't interrupt me if I'm answering the question.
They are standing up against it.
Can you stop interrupting me? I'm answering your question.
To what you said, but go ahead.
But I'm trying to answer the question. White people tax money go all over. The white people tax money go all over the world. Oh my God!
What, Mike? Afro-diaspora news. Are you on that narcotic? Like, are you?
Bro,
no, I'm asking. Are they not standing up against it?
I mean, you said, I mean, Afro-diaspora. Listen to what you said from the beginning. You said you can get the Caribbean from anywhere in America on the East Coast in an hour. Are you? Do you understand how maps and?
I'm in the Caribbean right now.
Are you? So you got there from? Hold on. You got there from Maine, like so. Somebody from Maine.
I came from Miami. So I was wrong. I came from Miami. I was wrong.
Yeah. Are you high? Are you in Jamaica with some Rastas?
SpaceX right there. That's SpaceX right there.
Hey, we got Dynast, let me answer his question. Let me answer his question.
Let him answer your question. Go ahead.
I'm asking.
Afro, let him answer your question.
Can I respond to Dynast, please?
Bro, you gotta learn when to be quiet, man. Listen,
I don't want you. Hold on, one mic. I don't want you to respond to me. Go ahead.
Ask me a question.
No, I want Brandon to respond.
All right, well, let Brandon talk, but don't ask me a question if you don't want a response, brother.
Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
White people tax money go all over the world for different causes, right? When white,
brother.
Oh my God, this man cannot stop talking.
Make your point, brother.
Now, when white people want something in return for where their tax money go, there's a procedure to do that. They don't just say these dudes should take our money and just by freaking have an epiphany. Hey, let's do something for them. That's not how geopolitics works. When you want, oh my God, man, let me finish. Let me finish, bro. If it's so wrong, you should be able to kill it instantly once I'm done.
I had to remove him, bro. You know, I just use. Yeah,
okay, yeah. Listen. Black people are like a spoiled child. Instead of communicating what they want as adults, hey, this is what we want. Our tax money is going over there. We want to be able to do this. We sit in the corner with our arms folded, with our lip poked out, making up a problem for every solution, Dynast. And then we say, like Cameroon, don't give us. What black person want to go to Cameroon and be a citizen at all or live there? Black people have to acknowledge the fact we've spent the better part of 2 centuries talking about how we didn't want to leave America and how America was great and how we need to stay here and for our rightful place in America. Now, all of a sudden, 2019 year of return come, and all of a sudden, Africans should have been offering us citizenship. We told the Africans that it was cracking in America. We made them truly believe that we had no desire to go to Africa for decades. Dynast, am I right or am I wrong? Black people was getting lynched. When black people was getting lynched, they had the opportunity to go back to Africa. Many black people did that, but there were many black people who said, hell no, I'm gonna stay here and fight. I got a farm here. I didn't set roots down here. You can't tell somebody. This like a girl telling you, look, girl, look, man, you go try to talk to her. I'm a lesbian. I like girls. Ooh, why would I ever date a guy? You remember you was in college. You always had that girl who was a lesbian and didn't like guys who played for the basketball team. Then all of a sudden she come to you, like I experienced, confessing her undying love for you and why you never came and tried to talk to her. And she was always checking. And you like, wait a minute. For the better part of 3 years, you were telling me you were a lesbian and you hated men and you didn't like men. And now all of a sudden you see me with somebody else and now it's a problem. That's what black Americans, that is our culture, bro. Pretend like we express how much we don't want something, and then when that thing is offered to somebody else, all of a sudden, why you never offer that to us? Bro, it's just a mind game. It's just a trick bag, as these FBA dudes always say. No, dude, that shit's over, man. No mature group of people on the planet, no cognizant group of people on the planet is going to let you put them on a hamster wheel where they keep on trying to make progress with building a connection with you, and you just keep moving the goalposts. Save that shit for your baby mama or whoever is dumb enough to believe that you really wanted to go to Africa and that you really care about citizenship in Africa. The ones who care are working on it. Dynas, he cares. The people who are going to Sierra Leone, they're working on it. And Dynas, you want me to tell you something that you should do to these fools? Before they start talking about citizenship in Africa, you should say, have you taken your African ancestry? Has it placed you in a country? Because if they have not, they could be Sierra Leonean, right? And have all the ability in the world to go get citizenship. But people who aren't even in the damn game shouldn't even be giving an opinion or making statements about what's going on in Africa. I don't play in the NBA, so I should have no opinion about what the Lakers do in their damn front office. You just sound ignorant and dumb, and you're just stopping the conversation for us to get bogged down with ignorance. No.
Pan-African capitalist, come, go ahead.
What's going on, brother? So yeah, man, the main reason you got a lot of Black Americans moving to Ghana, as I am one, I have been living here for a few months now and visiting years before that. But the biggest thing is that the country, unlike most other countries, is actually making an effort to reach out to Black Americans. I mean, there's promotion in terms of the tourism industry. With the current presidential administration, they actually created an entire department dedicated to Black Americans in the diaspora, which you can go to that office for certain things like getting your residence permit, which is actually, it's a lot easier and a more accelerated process for Black Americans in the diaspora as opposed to other immigrants or people that may be living or working in the country. So that's really, I think that's what it boils down to. I don't really see any other African countries really reaching out to the diaspora or Black Americans. I mean, you even had the president of Ghana. I mean, he's mentioned Black Americans by name in several speeches. Right, several public speeches. So I think that's the biggest thing as far as Pan-Africanism. I mean, look, when you talk about Kwame Nkrumah, he did a lot of good in the country, but I think the biggest thing is when you talk about Pan-Africans in the 60s, if you research the Pan-Africans, they were opposed to capitalism. And I think it's very difficult if you're going to have a country that's been under the system of capitalism and to go into like a sort of socialism type, system, because you're going to be taxed a lot more and you're not going to have private ownership and these type of things. And so I think that, Kwame Nkrumah, like I said, he did a lot of good stuff. But at the end of the day, he did mismanage the economy, and there was some not so good stuff that he did. And at the end of the day, I just on the Kwame Nkrumah point, every country that you go to, you always have at least typically like two opposing parties. So it wasn't like the entire country was just opposed to Kwame Nkrumah. It was like, okay, the opposing party was opposed to him, so it was like the people came in with the coup. So it wasn't a situation like when they had the coup d'etat, Kwame Nkrumah, they waited till he left the country for them to take over the actual government. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of give a kind of summary on that. But
can I answer that question?
Go ahead.
So Kwame Nkrumah made a huge mistake. Kwame Nkrumah got mesmerized by socialism, which is by definition the doorway to the beginning stage of communism, right? Pan-Africanism and socialism don't go together. I'll stand right here and tell you that what Kwame Nkrumah was doing as far as
Brandon, we got to do a whole separate show on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, what Kwame Nkrumah was doing was going directly against what was advised by people like Marcus Garvey, Martin Delany, and these people. He was basically putting Ghana in a box that it would have eventually never been able to get out of. If you look at people who were alive at the time who were instituting socialism in their countries and communism, they were having mass famines. Look at Mao, the largest starvation, the largest death toll in the world from starvation in history when Mao instituted the Great Leap Forward, a socialist project. So the people in Kwame Nkrumah's country, when who overthrew him, they were 100% right to do so. He had no idea of how to run a country in a way that was going to facilitate progress. Just because the guy was a Pan-Africanist, that doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with everything he was doing. He understood the ideology, or maybe he did not. Maybe you don't know. We don't know the secret meetings that people have behind the scenes. You don't know if Russia gave Kwame Nkrumah a bunch of money to institute socialism. We know that this has been going on with African leaders for a long time, but it's our duty to be honest about it, not just lie and cover it up and try to squint our eyes like FBA do to make it right, even when it's clearly wrong and unproductive. Hey, he was trying to institute socialism. They did what was best for their country, and Ghana was better off for it. Because if they had instituted that mess, Ghana would probably be looking like China before China realized that socialism and communism really didn't work and started to move more towards a mixed economy, which is what most of the world is living under right now. Kwame, he was wrong with that. Sorry.
Go ahead, V.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about Kwame Nkrumah, and Kwame Nkrumah did a lot for Ghana, and he did a lot for Africa too. It's not everything that he got right. You are correct on that, but a lot that he did that was right. The problem with Nkrumah was he was too advanced for the kind of thinking that was going on in Africa at the time. He had a lot of opposition from the West. And the reason why Nkrumah, do you know that when Nkrumah took over Ghana, when the West realized that Nkrumah had this idea of helping other African countries to get their independence, what they did was they targeted Ghana, they targeted him. They set up, there was, what's that word? Sanctions against Ghana. They wanted to buy our product. They're still doing to a certain extent that they want to buy it at their own price, regardless of what the goods or whatever it is worth. And Nkrumah wanted to bring Africa together, that when we come together as a group, we have more power. He didn't get everything right. Yes, you're correct. But he was far better than the West were doing to us. You guys were talking about aid. When the West give us $1, they take $1,000 out of Africa for the $1 they give us. You know, as Black people, we need to get our mind working properly and realize what is happening to us as a people, and stop talking about. And Nkrumah went to socialism because the West were attacking us. They knew that colonialism needs to come to an end because there was a lot of fighting. Have you guys heard about the Mau Mau in Kenya, what they did to them?
Yes.
I spoke to one guy. I once by chance, I went somewhere and I met this ex-retired British soldier. And the guy gave, when he found I was off, it was like something that possessed him to talk to me about what he was a soldier. He said he was in Kenya. And he said there was a directive from somewhere up command, even to kill children, young boys, as young as 14 years old were being killed, massacred. And these are the kind of time that I was living at. Also, you have to look at the history. The Western Europeans primarily, their history with Africa, even coming from your ancestry, what they did. You know, we can say that, Africans capitulated. Yes, some Africans did capitulate, but there was a vast majority of Africans that fought to their death, fighting these people. And throughout history, so sometimes some of these leaders felt that the West have never had our interest at heart. That's why they were heading to places like China. The mistake they did was perhaps letting the West know too much, giving letting them know too much. Anyway, they had a whole lot of spy thing against us. They were paying some Africans huge sums of money to spy against their people. People like Mobutu was a spy from the West, and he got rid of Lumumba.
But you guys have to understand that this is the way that occupying forces operate. You guys act like this was personal.
I do understand that, but you have to also look at it in historical context. Now, these people were making these decisions because of what they were getting from the outside.
But if you truly look at it from a historical context, you'll realize that every group has done this, not just for black people, but even for people who look just like them and all that stuff. The whole thing we have to what we have to understand is wait, listen to this. We have to understand
we have not learned. Sorry, we're talking over each other now.
Look at Japan. It's about situational awareness. Kwame Nkrumah tried to do way too much, way too fast before he was even in a position of strength. Japan got bombed, bro. The Americans killed millions of their children, hundreds of thousands of their children, all in one swoop. And y'all like, but look at what they did to the Mau Mau, bro. This is what imperialists do. But guess what Japan did? Japan didn't say, look, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. Your response can only be emotional from by the way you said it don't make it emotional. Listen, but what I'm telling you is, bro, we have to have situational awareness. What did Japan do? Japan didn't sit up and be like, yeah, let's fight to the last man and die trying to fight America. They played the long game. They own huge parts of America. America owed them billions of dollars. They literally, right now, if Japan decided to say, you know what, F America, we could take our sovereignty back and not let they have their sovereignty, but we could evict America. They could do that right now. Why? Because America is totally dependent on Japan to wage war to keep China under control in case China tries to get out of pocket. So what I'm saying is, America is totally dependent on Japan when it comes to keeping China intact. So Japan played the long game to the point where America is now so dependent on Japan that Japan could go ask pretty much for whatever they want.
Come on, we're talking about Nkrumah now. Now you're going to Japan.
No, we're not. You see, that's the problem with black folks. You just want to talk about it, what makes you right. I'm talking about why you're wrong. Wait a minute, ma'am. I'm giving you an example. Use your higher level thinking skills. Japan was in the same damn position. They got obliterated by America. They actually were in a worse position. They physically went to war with America and got destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of people dead. How did they get to where they are today from where they were back a little bit over 60 years, a little bit over 70 years ago? They did the long game.
You're going around in circles. How can I respond? Because you're going around in circles.
Listen, and if you're not talking about Africa doing that, you're not talking anything, because we're not about to have a war against white supremacy.
I was saying, if you let me finish before you interjected, then you're going around and around. What I'm saying is, there was a group of leaders.
You went around for 10 minutes.
Let her finish, Brandon. Go ahead.
I said this before in the previous program, that there was a group of leaders that they came in. Their sole aim at the time was to get Africa independent, and Nkrumah was one of them. Most of those guys got killed or got deposed or got thrown out of office because the West, look at something like these people. When
we know the history. We know the history.
Come on.
She said I was going to circles.
Brandon, I want to hear her. Go ahead, V.
Now I've been thrown off. I don't remember what I was going to say. I said, of course it's emotional. It can be emotional. But yes, you're right. You need to detach emotion from it and look at it on a strategic level. And I will say that. I've said this previously. There's a lot of things that we have done that's strategically wrong. Yes, it's true. But that doesn't excuse the fact that these people set up solely to destroy us. And what we did not realize, or perhaps not even realize till now, is also countering, finding solutions to what they were doing that was destroying us. We have not done that well. That is true. But it still doesn't make it right for you to say that, Japan was almost destroyed. Yes, And
Nkrumah
they
wasn't a good
could.
leader.
Brandon, Brandon. Ah, God damn, Brandon. I'll bring you back on, Brandon. I just want her to finish. Go ahead, V.
When he keeps doing that, he just throws me off what I was going to say.
I know. Go
What
ahead.
I'm
Go ahead. Go
saying
ahead.
is,
Go ahead.
yeah, what I'm saying is Africa has not got what we still have not got ourselves in a position to realize that all these things that was doing against us, we need to find balance against it. And perhaps that is why I said, if you guys that have had much longer experience with this Western sort of ideology in society and what goes on, and some of you guys coming in there, it's good. I don't see anything wrong with that. And as for African Americans or Black people in the diaspora, they've been coming to Ghana for a long time. When I was a young girl and we used to go over there on vacations or go or live in there, I used to see, especially the coastal, like Cape Coast and particularly Cape Coast area, Lamina and Cape Coast, I used to see a lot of Black diaspora coming over. And they've been coming for a long time. I would say about 60 odd years. But now there's more coming in because of what Nanadu is trying to do, where he's trying to get people like yourselves and others to look at Africa differently from what you've been looking at in the past. And it'll all be good for Africa in the long term because
let me pass it to Dodgy. You're ready. Go ahead, to Dodgy.
All right, peace, family. My mic good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Peace, Dynast, Pan-African Capitalist, brother Kofi, Sister V. I just came in when the brother Pan-African Capitalist was talking, so I haven't caught none of the stream. So I'm gonna just say to address the title first, and then I'm gonna go to speaking about Kwame Nkrumah, which was kind of where I was at when I came in. As far as why a lot of people considering Ghana, I would say me, as far as myself, Ghana not at the top of my list, but I will always keep Ghana on the top of my list as far as repatriation towards the top of my list because of many factors, but some of them including the fact that just the human perspective being that it's a lot of our people there. You know what I'm saying? I might wanna, and it's pros and cons to a lot of our people being there. We know that. You feel me? I might want to hear my music and dance with my people and relate in a certain way. So that's why I always kind of keep Ghana on the list. You feel what I'm saying? For me, Kenya is probably towards the top of my list. I haven't been to the continent yet, so that's why I have a list because that might change when I start to visit. So Kenya towards the top of my list because the level of reinvestment I'm seeing happening in the country, following brothers like the African Traveler, watching channels like Chams Media and the other. What I see, it seems like a lot of investment is going on, as opposed to, well, I ain't gonna say as opposed to because I've never been, but from my perspective, as opposed to West Africa, there's a lot of reinvestment going on from the top down. So Kenya towards the top of my list, and I'm not gonna take South Africa off just because of some other reasons, but that's neither here nor there. As far as Kwame Nkrumah, that's kind of where the brother was when I came in. I would say that Brandon, I think that a lot of times you speak, bro, it's either all or none. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we know you spoke about mixed economies. I think that when you spoke on situational awareness, we got to understand that this was the situation 60 years ago when you just took over the leadership of a newborn country. You know what I'm saying? So some form or some level of socialism is absolutely necessary. I don't think you would disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? But the level to which can be debated. But at that point in time, and what was that, 59, 57? What was that? They got free?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
I think it was okay. I think it was 59. I don't know, but
yes, somewhere in the 50s. I don't remember. Sorry.
It was either 57 or 59. But that being a young country, and a lot of times us as American Africans, we've been in a position of we've been led. We haven't had a whole lot of power and control, so we may not sometimes understand what it would take to be responsible for a whole group of people, for millions of people, and what it would take to go on not even what it would take, but what we would implement to get those people on a path to trying to compete on being on a level with the rest of the world. If you look at and this is all, you know, I'm speaking on the level of socialism to which a country or leader has to implement when coming into control of a new country. So I'm not a Kwame Nkrumah expert, so I'm gonna say that first of all. But when you hear, okay, the factories that were started, the schools that were started, same thing for Thomas Sankara. I'm a capitalist, and I understand that situational awareness now calls for capitalism being that's the rule of the day. Strategic capitalism and proper negotiations with outside forces, and now we got the diaspora coming in. So, but I don't think that's going to be as impactful as it could or should. Strategic capitalism is the way to go now, but at that point in time, when you kind of have almost no industry, using the resources and the whatever taxes you collect, or however type of income, whatever income you coming into, and spreading that among the people, I assume was necessary at that point in time. And then to my third point, the brother Pan African Connection spoke about Akufo-Addo and how he spoke to us and all of that. I would say that that's one of the benefits.
Oh God,
Right,
I'm gone.
that's one of the benefits right now of a lot of people going to Ghana, is that it's a lot of us there, and if somebody can get that and organize, it's a lot of different organizations, it's a lot of people. I'm seeing on YouTube, for instance, saying, oh, I just started a guide to Africa and trap, and it's like 3-4 people doing it. And it's not a whole lot of organization, but I think if somebody would go to Ghana, for instance, and do what brother RJ Mahdi doing in Senegal, and try to organize the organizations, and having more organization going in Ghana, the fact that Akufo-Addo reached out to a lot of people and a lot of us going there would be really beneficial. It is a lot of people starting business, so we don't want to discount what is happening. So we want to shout that out. But if we could kind of more organize to be more intentional, outside of just, okay, I'm gonna start a business and make money for me and my family, which is necessary. That's at the top of the list. But when we can
So, brother,
organize, move intentionally.
let me just say that there is a lot of organizations
Hear me? Hold on. Who talking?
on the ground.
Hold
The
up.
only difference,
Somebody talking right now? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
yeah,
Just let him finish.
Oh yeah, I'm about to finish right now, bro. Damn, that nigga he just started talking. But yeah, if more organization could happen, among different business owners, for instance, to say, okay, let's start something like a chamber of commerce, and let's things like that. That would even utilize and make the benefit more impactful, and for more good among the people. That's it.
Can I respond to that real
I
briefly,
just
Dynasty?
say real quick to the brother that just finished speaking. So they already have a bunch of I think you was talking in reference to Ghana. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in Ghana, there's already a bunch of African American organizations, as far as the African American Chamber of Commerce, African American. There's a bunch of organizations on the ground. The only difference between what's going on in Ghana and Senegal, in terms of what I think you mentioned, brother RJ Mahdi, is that they don't really have like a one key person that's as popular on YouTube in Ghana. That RJ Mahdi is like, I think he's an ambassador at this point of the diaspora. So there is organization. There are several business and political organizations already set up in Ghana, and that has been set up for at least a decade now.
Can I respond to my brother Tendaji? Because
yeah, go ahead, go ahead, and we're gonna close out.
Yeah, okay, so Tendaji, I understand what you're saying totally. And me, I'm not an all or nothing guy. I'm a guy who's very practical. When did Kwame Nkrumah get overthrown? By the way, they got their independence in 1957. Kwame Nkrumah got overthrown in 1966. All one need do is go do research on the climate of the world in 1966. If you look at that, 1966, if you look at what the United States was engaged in geopolitically, you would have thought Kwame Nkrumah was an absolute fool to do what he was doing. The United States was engaged in full-out war in Vietnam, trying to prevent Vietnam from going the way of communism. So they made it very clear that if you were trying to institute socialism, which was basically nice words for communism, they were willing to go to war with you to make sure that your country didn't fall into the hands of the communists. Kwame Nkrumah didn't have a guerrilla war. He didn't have a Ho Chi Minh type general who was going to sit and fight the Americans. If you look at when they took over Ghana, it was so bad. The United States, it's like they just walked in. They just walked in and took over the government. All I'm saying is situational awareness, waiting for the time to strike. And I don't think you give me nor yourself enough credit. Dynas, you too. We're family men. Running a family is a lot like running a country because you have to do what's most advantageous for your family at the proper time. I don't care if you make $1 million a year. If you lose everything and your kids have no food, you're going to walk down to that county office, fill out a form, and get you some food stamps to put food in their mouth. Right or wrong, Tendaji?
That's facts. So to clarify, you
okay,
should have focused more on the military and building up defense.
So what I'm saying is Kwame Nkrumah had the power. You have to retain the power at all costs, not just being a corrupt dictator, but even using diplomacy to facilitate relationships that can help you build your strength. This is what people like Japan did. This is what countries like Sweden did for years. Switzerland did for years. When they were in a weakened state, I think everyone should research the history of Sweden, how they actually survived getting virtually conquered on every side by like 5 different countries. How did they survive? They didn't say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the thing to piss off Russia, who's sitting right at our border, who already wants our land. They facilitated with Russia. They facilitated with Germany. They stayed neutral in World War II, neutral in World War I, because they were not in a position to where they could stave off takeover. Black people have to be systematic.
Like Craig Daddy told him, live to fight
another day. Yeah, live to fight another day. I say the same. I'm not picking on Kwame Nkrumah because Dynas, you heard me say the same thing about Malcolm X. You next in line to take over the NOI. Why would you open your damn mouth 2 years, 3 years out from running the whole shebang? Oh, well, he saw something he didn't like. Yeah, but guess what? He would have been in a better position to change it if he just kept his damn mouth shut instead of being a blabbermouth. I criticize Black American leaders too. But what can you do when you have no power? What could Kwame Nkrumah do to facilitate change in Ghana when he was exiled over in Guinea-Bissau? Nothing. I mean, in whatever Guinea he was in, he couldn't do anything. So you don't
He also
give up
accepted that loan.
Yeah, you don't give up the key. You don't give up the keys to the car if you got a destination that you're trying to get to. Because if you in the passenger seat, you got no control over the car now. Or if you in the damn trunk where he was at, you got no control. Black people, stop being emotional. Stop being fake virtue signaling moral elitists. Just do what's most advantageous. Be patient and strike when the time is right. That is my only message.
Understood.
All right, Tendaji, go ahead and respond, and then we're gonna close out. Go ahead, Tendaji.
I'm gonna just say. Now that was a good point. Brandon made. I would just say now that definitely, Dynas, I'm looking forward to the conversation you said you want to have about
Pan-Africanism and socialism.
Because I see a lot of people in the comments, they go on that capitalism, and I don't understand it. I don't know what they think the alternative is. I don't know what the alternative is supposed to be at this point in time, but capitalism is, and it's the easiest way. It's especially if you in the West, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you in America or Europe right now, where you could just go get a job anywhere, save up your money, start your business, grow your company, get into real estate. Like this is the easiest. It's the easiest thing to do. You got to be on top. You got to be the absolute. You got to be the absolute figure to try to implement some type of socialism that's going to be anywhere near impactful. Capitalism is our best it's the only opportunity at this point. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. I don't know when y'all gonna have that, but I want to be a part of it. But that's it, you know what I'm saying?
All right, cool. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Peace.
Go Eagles.